The last hour of a tanis is usually the hardest, and since we aspire to the idea of lefum tzara agra, according to the distress is the reward, so it's also the most rewarding part of the fast. So what better thing that we could do than to learn at this time? First of all, a little bit of a good news. We dedicated the Shabbos Shuvah Drasha by the women this Shabbos for the chassan of Reb Blumenfeld's granddaughter, who was wounded on patrol in Lebanon. I told you that he was facing a surgery to save a leg. I was informed that they saved the leg. Baruch Hashem. There was also a problem in the stomach, which they also repaired. But he's not out of the woods. He's still in a coma. So we're going to continue to learn for our good chaver Blumenfeld's granddaughter's chassan, a very brave young man, Yitzchak Aaron ben Chayamushka, should have a refuah shalema b'sech shecha l'Yisrael. Also, Berish tells me that Reb Omen is in the hospital and is now unresponsive. He's just sleeping. So, Reb Shlomo Omen. So we'll learn for Shlomo Yaakov ben Dina. He should have a refuah shalema b'sech shecha l'Yisrael. Also, our chaver Adaf, Yaakov Umansky, is in the hospital with pneumonia, but seems to be doing better today. So we learn for his refuah as well. We're dedicated by the Fisher family, Lila Nishmas Basia Bas Rabbat, Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain, also Lila Nishmas David ben Chaim, Lefuah Shalem for Yomis Mechayesar, for the schus of Avram and Yom Ben Ishma Malki Yehudis, by Yod Klugman and family, and Lefuah Shalem for Meir ben Chayesar. We're up to Mishna Tes in the 4th parak. Now, Elo Devarim She'ein Lehem Oina, although there's a din, like we learned, that if the fraud is a 6, you have to return the overcharge, and if it's more than a 6, it's bittul mekach. These rules do not apply for the 4 items. Elo Devarim She'ein Lehem Oina, ha'avodim, because avodim are hukshu lekarkois, they are juxtaposed to karka, and by karka there's no oina. The hashtaris also, if you sell a promissory note, v'karkois, and real estate, v'hekdeshes, and there's no oina by hekdesh. The Mishnah then goes on to tell us that these items also ein lehem tashlumei kefel. If you steal karka, you don't pay double, nor shtaris, nor avodim, nor hekdesh. V'loi tashlumei arba v'chamisha. If it's a sheep or an ox, there's no payment of arba v'chamisha. By these 4 items, shemechinam eino nishma, a unpaid custodian, if it got damaged, he doesn't have to swear that he wasn't negligent. And v'noisei socher eino mishalm, a paid watchman, although he usually pays for geneva v'aveda, if it was stolen or lost, it doesn't apply to these 4 items, karka, hektish, shtarais, or avodim. Reb Shimon says an interesting thing. Kochim shu chayev b'achriyusan. Kochim, that he dedicated and he's responsible, that means he made a neder. He said, hari olai, so that if it gets lost or stolen, he has to replace it. So it's a davar agorim l'mammon, and a davar agorim l'mammon is considered a kamammon. So then, if it gets a blemish, and he sells it, and he overcharges, yesh lehem hayna. Since it is considered his money, there is hayna. V'she'ena chayev b'achriyusan, but if it's a nedava, where he said harizeh, so if it gets lost or stolen, he doesn't have to replace it, then ein lehem hayna. Then it's not considered his mammon, and there's no hayna. Rabbi Yehuda says, I have a few other items that there's no hayna. Afamoicha Sefer Torah, if you sell Sefer Torah, because the Sefer Torah is priceless. So you can't overcharge. Behema, if you sell an animal, you see, somebody might want this animal because it's a very strong animal and it's a match for his other animal in the plow, and he'll pay through the nose for it. And umargalis, or a pearl, since his wife lost the pearl of her earring, she's looking for a match, and she'll pay anything for it. Ein lahem oina, but the Chacham do not agree. Amru loy, they told him loy amru ela es elu. They only said that there's no oina by the original 4 items, avodim, shtaris, karkois, and hektish. Now we learn about the grievous sin of oinas devarim, hurtful words, what we call verbal abuse. Kishem shoyna b'mekach u'memkar, just like there's hurting in business, kach oina b'dvarim, so it's also hurting with words. Lo yomer lo, for example, you shouldn't go into a store and say v'kama chayvet zeh and ask him how much an item is, getting the storekeeper all excited. V'ein haraitza likach, and he's not interested. He's just, browsing. He's having fun. Imoy about tshuva, if this person was about tshuva, lo yomer lo, you shouldn't tell him zechor ma'asecha rishayim. Remember what you used to do? How did lobster taste? Remember those days when you had lobster? Imu ben Gerim, if he's the son of Gerim, lo yomer lo zechor ma'aseh avisecha. So your father and mother, they used to do these terrible things. Shenemar, this is a special halacha. V'ger lo yisayna, you shouldn't hurt a ger. V'lo yisilchatzenu, you shouldn't oppress him. And we know the Gemara Bava Metzia tells us that oinas devarim is worse than oinas mammon. Now, nobody feels that way. If you say this person is a pickpocket, don't give him an aliyah. This person says not nice things to his wife. The truth of the matter is oinas dvarim is worse than oinas mammon. Gemara says, shezeh begufay, v'zeh b'mamonai. One is against the person's body, one is only against the person's money. And the Gemara says, zeh nitein lihishavan, v'zeh lo nitein lihishavan. You could undo stealing a person's money. You give him back the money. You could never undo hurtful words. You can never undo it. I heard stories from people. There's somebody that comes to my Pirkei Avos shir in the country. For 40 years he's been coming to my shir. He told me that a comment that a Rebbe made to him changed his trajectory in life. He was in high school, and he asked a question, and the Rebbe told him, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And then he told him, you'll never amount to anything. And he said it changed his trajectory. He was thinking of going into chinuch and maybe becoming a Rebbe, and that destroyed him. The people don't realize the damage they could do with words. Rav Miller, who had his famous tape, The 10 Commandments of Marriage, he made it as one of the commandments to never tell a wife, I want to divorce you, or I hate you. He says, if you do it, then you better run to Simpson's and buy something very expensive. But he says, you never erase what you say. Hurtful words are li nitain li shavin. Okay, now we're going to talk about some Gedalia.